I've been part of multiple 5-figure and 6-figure operations this last year, worked with huge names like Charlie Morgan, worked with other huge creators as well, and I've managed to generate them multiple 5 figures as well through live events and just managing certain parts of their funnel. And I just want to compile and compress all the lessons I've learned over this past year, just in life in general and in business, so that you can take it away and hopefully, yeah, provides you some insight and improves your life. The first lesson I want to share with you is start executing instead of just hoarding knowledge. Like, get exactly what you need and then just go from there. When you first come across a roadblock, then look for the information that solves that. Because what was happening was that I was learning all this stuff, taking note of all this stuff, and half of it I never even got the chance to implement because I've got so much I need to do. It not only makes you less likely to act on it because it's like your brain wants to procrastinate, it thinks there's so much it has to do, but it actually ends up confusing you more because you don't know where you should start. And a quick story here, for my first technical proper online business, first I did reselling, right? That's just like flipping, that gets you into the game. But then from there I started doing working with real estate agents, okay? And I learned from the same type of people everyone learns from, like Eman Gadzi learn type people. So funny, man. Them people sharing their courses and stuff like that. And I think at the start, everyone kind of starts there, right? Everyone learns from the same people initially. Anyways, jumped into that, and during my holiday, whilst I was away, I think in Spain or Turkey, I forgot exactly where, I was consuming all of this knowledge on a family holiday. Instead of like chilling in the pool and stuff like that, I just wanted to get better and better and better. And just basically start taking action on my business because I had these big goals I wanted to achieve. I noted them all down, did the mind mapping, the planning, the visioning that he always talks about and everyone talks about at the very beginning. I was doing all that and I had these huge goals. I just want to take action straight away. But for me, taking action was just learning as much as you can. Now, yes, there's definitely a space for learning. But initially, in this first business I ran, which was where I tried to help out real estate agents, it took me 10 months to get my first client. 10 months! Because what I was doing was learning, taking a little bit of action, and then just getting scared to take action, so I just went back to learning because it's safer. I never put myself in that uncomfortable position where I had to speak to people and throw myself into the deep end. And then I only started making progress once I hit the phone and was doing 100 cold calls a day. And that basically went from one end of the extreme to basically taking no action and just learning to just going straight in and hardly learning anything new. Now, the ideal place is somewhere in between there because yes, you have to learn new things, but if you're not implementing it, there's no point even learning it in the first place. No point in consuming that knowledge. Because knowledge is power, yes, but when it's applied. But this time around, I now work with coaches, okay, launching funnels, high ticket webinars, all that type of stuff. Direct checkout, sometimes book a call. And I actually started doing this, working with coaches around May this year. And in that span of time, it only took me 1 month. So compared to 10 months last time, I was 10 times quicker this time. Because instead of just trying to consume all this knowledge and stuff I got, I identified where people are, how other people are just doing it proper weird and nerdy, which I'll get to on later on. And I was able to do it in just a month. A lot quicker time span because I was executing, not just taking more knowledge and tips and tricks and stuff like that. That's the first lesson I want to share with you. The second lesson I want to share with you is what you work on is more important than the quantity of work. Now, don't get me wrong, doing a high quantity, high volume of work is important because you don't understand what volume is yet. For example, on social media, like what you're watching now on Instagram, I technically don't know what quality is. So I'm trying to do a higher volume in order to understand what do people like, what do people not like, and then optimize for that. And it's the same thing I do with my clients as well. They already have some consensus of what is quality, but if we don't understand, we need to do a high volume, we need to do weekly webinars or 2 a month if you want to just get that better rapidly. You want to spend more on ads, find out what works, what doesn't work quicker. You need the volume in order to understand what quality is. And what is a very interesting thing is that this year, my biggest and best month that I've had, I actually ended up working the least, I would say, which which was my birthday month, so October. What I did that month was I worked less because I was doing all this thing. I was like traveling, going to certain places, seeing people, right? That I actually realized, all right, cool, I have less time. Because I have less time, what should I do to make sure I still move the needle forward? And when you think with that frame, it made me realize, look, I was doing this, 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 and this, and this. And I was like, if I just didn't do it, do I still get the outcome I'm looking for? And the answer was yeah. If I cut it all out, I still get the result I'm looking for. And what actually happened is, because I spent more time on just that one thing, which was basically just speaking to people, building a relationship with them, strengthening that, so that by the time it came around, they were ready to work with me. I already had people who were on the edge, ready to work with me. So I was just like, cool, yeah, let's do it. That is exactly what I focused on. Just that, not getting new people in or having to think of 100 content ideas or whatever like that. Just speak to the people who are already there. The highest leverage actions I could take. And now I spend a majority of my time getting them better and better results because I grow with my clients. And that's just how I like it, because it's more, you have a shared interest. So it's when you succeed, they succeed too. And when they succeed, so do you. It's just the best all round that I've found. That's why I like doing it that way. But you really need to think about, what should you work on? Because it's not just about, like, as I did at the start, I did 100 cold calls and stuff like that, and 100 DMs or whatever. But then you really have to take a step out, and you can only take a step out once you've done the volume to understand what quality is. Like, please remember that. But then once you understand what the biggest leverage action is, you then hyper focus on that, because that's what's going to move you forward. Do not get stuck in the same routines, because different stages need different activities. You need to focus on different things at different stages. But yeah, be very mindful of what work you're working on. Otherwise, I saw this great quote, I don't even know where I got it from, but I just heard it one time. And it was that, if the person who works the hardest became the richest, then the donkey would own the farm. And that just resonated, man, because it's so true. Think about, there's so many people in like a factory in Asia or somewhere just working so hard, well, harder than definitely all of us, and they still could be in a worse position. And that just makes you realize in that moment that it's not about the intensity you work at, it's about what are you intensely working on. So just be mindful, and it should realistically be your main constraint. The one thing that you, if you take action on, will unlock a new layer of growth. The third thing I wanted to mention, which was quite important for me this year, was don't work with people you don't get a good feeling from. Because back when I used to work with real estate agents, I just used to work with anyone and everyone who was a real estate agent, because I just wanted to get better and just get more people in and whatever, stuff like that. But now my model is that I genuinely there's a direct correlation between the results I provide them and how much I get paid from them, right? I'm very selective with who I work with, because mindset is everything. If I'm working with someone who doesn't have the right mindset, who I just don't get a good feeling from, I literally won't get paid, and then I can't get better and achieve the goals I want to achieve. And I physically cannot do anything for them. So be really selective of who you want to work with. And a lot of investors speak about this a lot. They say sometimes your best deals are the ones you walk away from. Because there are some people, some deals who you just get that gut feeling that you probably shouldn't do it and you should trust it every time. And that's what I got, so I chose not to do it. Since I had the chance to work with a couple of people this year who I did really want to work with, I genuinely thought like I could help them. I genuinely felt like I could help them. But we just weren't on the same page. We weren't on the same page, and then I had this gut feeling that I just don't think it'll work out. So I chose to walk away from that. And then surprisingly what happened is, literally, I think that next day, or that made that decision, or the next couple of days, my ideal type of person to work with wanted to work with me, reached out to work with me. So my point is, don't be scared or don't be afraid to get up from the table, step away from a deal and not take it, because some of your best deals will be the ones you don't take. And at the end of the day, if it's your business, you're running it, you're a freelancer or whatever, you're a coach, right, and you're doing 40k, 30k months, work with the people you want to work with. It's your business. Like, there is no point working with people you just don't vibe with, because if you have the choice, it's not a job. You have the choice. So choose wisely. So yeah, that's just how I see it. I understand at the beginning you may want to just work with people to get experience, stuff like that. But as soon as you have that little bit of experience, please just choose who you work with carefully, because it'll make your life 10 times less stressful and 10 times more enjoyable. Like, growing your business should be fun. Like, yes, there's problems and things you have to deal with that you don't want to do. I understand that. But in general, it should be fun. Waking up and thinking, oh, I can't bother to do this. I can't bother to work with these people. You have to do that every single day. You can't be working with people you don't like. So be mindful of who you're choosing to work with, and just don't work with people you don't get a good vibe from. The fourth thing I wanted to speak about, and probably the biggest lesson I learned this year, was humanise before you systemise. In the beginning, I was taking all the actions that all the little kids online take and just doing all the systemised thing, like, oh, I can just copy and paste this message here and there, and it's like a great ROI because it takes hardly any time for me, and people are going to... No, they're not. In reality, I wasn't standing out because I was just, like I said, every other kid online, just some nerd, right? And when I actually instead just started speaking to people like I would speak to them in real life. Like, if I saw them in the street, like, think about this. If you saw someone in the street, you wouldn't go up to them and be like, hey, James, love the outfit. Just had 5 tips I wanted to send across to you. Do you mind if I send that to you? It's so random. They don't know you or anything like that. Like, what are you doing? So, it's so funny. But my point is, act like just a genuine person. Be human, be personable. Forget about all the little tactics and stuff you learn here and learn online, like all the strategy to get them to respond. Just be normal. Just be a normal guy. Just be chill. Be casual, relaxed, professional, personable. And I started acting like that in all of my relationships in life, and it's just 10 times better. Business, personally, and you just give off a better impression when you meet new people as well. Because meeting someone online is just like meeting them in person. The only difference is there's a screen in the way. And also, another huge thing is that once I started acting like a genuine human being, I just started working with huge creators and followers, right? And huge creators with a huge following, because they're just normal people themselves. They don't want someone who treats them like they're some god or something. They just want someone who they can relate to, chat with, laugh with, and just kind of see themselves in you. And if they can see that and they trust you and just like working with you, then that's the main thing at the end of the day. Like, you don't even have to be the best in the world at what you do. You just have to be someone that they trust can help them get better. That's it. And if they'd like to do it with you, they'll choose you. Like, I'm not the best in the world at what I do. I'm really good, but I'm not the best in the world. But people want to work with me because I'm just chill and we have a good time. Like, I think every single time I message my clients, which is basically every day at this point, we're laughing about something. But we also take great action as well. So, yeah, don't get too caught up in acting like a robot and stuff, and just genuinely be human. The fifth and final most important lesson I learned this year was that your environment is a huge factor in your success. And I was already slightly aware of this, but I never thought and saw the extent it was impacting me, right? Until I left school. So literally 6 months ago, I was going to school 5 days a week. I was in sixth form. It's basically what you do when you're 16 to 18 here in the UK. We can do that at college and stuff like that. But yeah, I was in sixth form, going to school 5 days a week. And I noticed that the goals I had when I was in school were so much smaller than the goals I have now. And I think one of the biggest reasons was the people I was around, right? Like, I had great friends and stuff like that. But in general, the whole year that you're with, they generally have smaller goals. And if you're spending a lot of time with people who have smaller goals, you're likely to adopt similar ones. Now, for example, if you have a group of people that you look up to and you spend a lot of time with, and they constantly value their starting a family and having a family, and that's like the most important thing for them, your main and biggest goal will be starting and having a family. Because a lot of the things you place your value on and a lot of the things you choose to believe are actually based off other people and what you've modeled from them. You take the things from the people you look up to the most, right? And if all those people have similar beliefs, opinions, and perspectives, right, that are to do with a certain thing, you'll adopt similar ones. So you have to be really careful about the beliefs, opinions, perspectives you're hearing and what you're placing value on. Because let's say you have a big goal to do, I don't know, you want to become a billionaire or whatever, right? If you're hanging around people who have views on money that are inconducive, which basically, I think I said that, let me just be clear, which are not towards what you want. So they just hate money, hate rich people, whatever, and just think that we should eat the rich or whatever, right? People who have those opinions and you want to become a billionaire, you're naturally going to pull back a little bit and think, okay, maybe I don't need to achieve that. But it's your goal. You set that out for yourself. Imagine, let's say you wanted to do 5 marathons. If you hang around a bunch of people who don't ever run, it's going to be so much harder for you to do that because you're going against the grain. If you're in a group of people who run every single day, if you don't run that day, you feel like a failure. But if you're with a group of friends who never run and you run once a week, you feel like you're just better than all them. And you think you're doing great. So your environment is so huge and it greatly impacts your success. And I found that I've been having bigger goals, made more progress, moved quicker once I left school, that environment. Because yes, I had more time to work on my business, but also my perspectives changed, right? So yeah, those are the 5 lessons I wanted to share with you. Here's for 26, hopefully a bigger and better year. I know for me, I personally want that because I know a lot of people online, they say like, oh yeah, this year's been the best year. And in terms of, yes, it probably has been one of my best years, but I didn't achieve everything I wanted to achieve. And I don't want to feel that again in 2026. And I achieved some great stuff this year. And maybe I'm just getting too ahead of myself. That could definitely be a possibility. But I definitely have big goals on what I want to do. And I'm still not there yet. So I'm happy in day to day. But I know deep down I strive for more. And once I have that, I think then I'll be okay. But we'll see. I'll let you know when I get there. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. And we'll speak again soon. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.